Yo, I got a good one for y'all today. This is interesting because we knew that this was going to play out in this way, at least some of us that were paying attention, because leftists, they only definitely in the modern era, these brainlets, when you incentivize them and you reward them with bad behavior, they're just going to keep on doing it. But you had these morons who were leftists, but more so, I guess, a little more central, and they just thought, well, this sort of conundrum that we in, or rather this atmosphere, of course, it's been facilitated by way of the orange man, and once he's out of the play, then everything's going to go at least to some sort of normalcy. And it's interesting that out of the situation in Minneapolis, which we talked about on the news and why it matters, we also talked about this on the show, recent show. You should be catching us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week, by the way, 12 p.m. Central over here. Joe Biden had something to say that's going to make this is interesting. Before I say my thoughts, let's just break this down real quick. Because if you're looking at it right now, this is a socialist, some white socialist who is mad. It says, F you, Biden. And here we go. Now let's listen to what Mr. Biden had to say about the recent shooting of the man, the whatever traffic stop, excuse me, or what have you. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I haven't called Dante Wright's family, but our prayers with their family. It's really a tragic thing that happened. But I think we got to wait and see what the investigation shows, and the entire investigation. You all watched, I assume as I did, the film, which is the body cam, which is fairly graphic. The question is, was it an accident? Was it intentional? That remains to be determined by a full-blown investigation. But in the meantime, I want to make it clear again, there is absolutely no justification, none, for looting, no justification for violence. Peaceful protest, understandable. I haven't called.
So basically, he says he's exactly who I thought he was. The Bears are who we thought that we knew who he was, and that obviously sounds like probably the most rational thing that he said. I mean, out of all the stupid things that he said, doesn't even matter that I disagree with, like, more so that first bit, or rather I would add more to that, because my issue with it isn't necessarily need to be, I guess, expanded upon via investigation. We've already talked about that. Nonetheless, hilarious thing about this, he says exactly what I thought he would say. Obama said the same thing when that Freddie Gray situation popped off and you had people looting. He said the same thing. So this isn't anything that you shouldn't have been prepared for. It's just a hilarious thing to think that he was somehow going to be so far from the orange man who would basically have said the same thing, and they're mad at it. That's what's so hilarious to me. And if you had trouble hearing him, what he said was that we need to let the investigation play out to find out what exactly happened. And he also said, regardless, which is, again, the most rational thing that I would say that he said, there's no reason for like this looting. And he's right in there. Say what you will about old Sleepy Joe. At least he's right in that regards. No matter if you're mad and don't take it out on other people. That's stupid. Take it out on, if you go to the precincts or whatever. But, you're taking it out on people that have nothing to do with it in their business. I was reading one, somebody like Asian. It's funny. Hey, Asian lives matter. And this Asian shop owner, I think a wig shop owner or something like that, got her stuff bust through. Insane kind of how that works. But I'm excited because we got to see this play out. Because a lot of folks, this is Biden, Biden supporters showcasing their ills situation here, where you're going to see, not necessarily saying she was a Biden supporter. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she was sympathetic, at least to him. Definitely in comparison to the orange man. But we're going to see a lot of folks, because he's going to have to take that position. And that's why this example right here, remember when after the election took place, I said that there's a reason for people that are more liberty-minded to be optimistic about it. This is one of the examples. Not necessarily because of what happens per se. Nobody wants to see anybody get killed or anything. But the wake-up call that it'll end up being for a lot of people who, for whatever reason, thought that when you switch the teams, in this regards, something would change. And it simply doesn't. It's not how it works. It's not how it ever worked. So people need to bump their heads. Some people need to bump their heads in order for them to, let's say, see the light. But that's the funny thing about this, is that you're going to have these uber, probably white leftists who are, oh, Biden, I thought you were different. You were supposed to allow us to just destroy stuff. Right? This, oh, you care about property more than you care about lives, as people that just completely obliterate businesses that had nothing to do with your situation. Of course, anybody with any sense is going to condemn it. I mean, Biden doesn't have much of it, but he at least have enough to say that that's not necessary, right? That's not even a solution there. But when you get reckless brainlets like white socialists here, they think that, well, they should be allowed to just destroy stuff and act out in the event that they have an issue with the police. Now, again, that doesn't make sense. We know that, but they're stupid people. You have to understand that. They're dumb. They don't think that you can have two positions at the same time. Like say, yeah, not a fan of the cops. Don't like them. Also, can't say you looting people and their businesses that had nothing to do with it. It's not a solution. Now, I bet a lot of them are having buyer's remorse. The guys that thought, oh, well, we can just donate to Black Lives Matter, and they'll support us. And they gave $200 million. And then they got their store ran into again. No, it's not how it works, you moron. Now, to those, you can argue they got what they deserve, but either way, I don't think that it's right for anybody to have some sort of aggression upon them in the way of property damage or anything. That's not right. But here we are. Biden is back to being what we thought that he was. He is what we thought that he would be. And there's a lot of leftists who are now frustrated because he's going to have to speak on this sort of stuff. You could speak from afar. I believe even Biden's knothead behind said something along the lines like, you see this violence and all this is because of your current president or something. Now it's happening under his watch. It's happening under your Kamala Harris. So we're going to see how y'all going to react. Because they're going to come out and condemn it, of course. They're going to condemn at least that part. They may say, racist, cops, blah, blah, blah. But at least in regards to the looting, they're going to condemn that Obama did it. So this isn't a surprise. Definitely, if it starts interfering with them, they're going to condemn that for sure. But the people that support them, they think that they were supposed to get a pass and be. That's what the hilarious thing about this is going to be. As we sit and watch, and all of this is going to play out. Some people will be peeled on it. They'll be like, oh, wow, this guy wasn't what I thought he was. And maybe some guys like myself are here like, hey, man, I've been trying to explain this to you for a very long time. And maybe they come around. You got to bump your head sometimes with some people. That's how they operate. That's how they get it. But now, when an instance like this happens in this country, which you're going to see, and because over the last year they got rewarded. They got rewarded. A lot of mayors, a lot of Democrat politicians basically acted as if it either wasn't a thing or they excused people bad behavior. So now their guy is in office. Not only that, from the federal level, they got control. I use that loosely because it doesn't really mean that they have control per se, but you get it. They have a majority. Let's say that. When it comes to House, Senate, and we're going to see how this plays out. Because they got to comment on every single event that happens. And because you got rewarded with bad behavior, a lot of folks are going to break out. And that's how anytime it doesn't even matter what the facts show. Black person killed by cop. It does not matter what the facts is. They're going to riot and they're going to loot. But now the Democrats in power, or have more power than what they had before, particularly at the presidential level. They're going to be required to speak on these situations. And as they condemn this stuff, it's going to be hilarious to see how this plays out.